What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a great week. But per usual, friends, it is about to get so much better. We have such a treat today. We have someone that if you're in the fitness world, you definitely know her. If you're not, you're about to get to know her. She's going to be your new favorite person. We have Baylee Rayl Christophel.
Right. Yes, that's perfect.
She's a married woman now. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I truly am honored to be here and just thankful for the space that we get to talk about what God's done in our life.
So cool.
And yeah, I'm thankful to be here.
It's going to be so fun.
Yes.
It's funny how I kind of got to know who you are through social media. This is our first time to meet.
Yes.
But Christian came to Mayhem.
Yep.
And he did like a workout with all these CrossFit people. And it was the funniest thing because it was Christian and his best friend.
Yep.
And they this was before Christian got super into working out. They were like working out every Saturday together.
Yeah.
Christian works out every day, but like nothing crazy. And him and Rich Froning became friends and he invited him down. They had no idea.
Yeah. I felt a little bit bad because it wasn't just like a normal training day. It was in the middle of games training, which is like all day.
It was nuts.
They didn't know what they were signing up for, but they handled it so well.
How many hours a day did y'all work out for?
We typically work out like 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon. So they were there for both sessions. I remember his friend was like, "Do you have any grips?" I'm like, "Yes, I have extra. You're going to need those." But they did so good.
And y'all swim in the pond.
Oh, yeah.
Like miles. Like they were struggling.
They didn't complain one time. They were just loving it. We were proud of them.
Well, they really did have the most fun time ever. And it was so funny because you know, y'all were posting videos or I don't know who all was posting the videos. I'm like seeing all these people. And to me, that's such a foreign world. Like I'd never seen the CrossFit Games and the people. And then I saw you, I was like, this girl is legit. Like you're just like ripped and out there with the guys. And as I like followed you and ever since I've just been like, this girl's awesome. Like you share your faith in your space. You are so dedicated. Like anyone who works out 6 hours a day, like mad respect for, and just the fact that you've taken what God's given you and done it to the best of your ability. And so anyways, when we had someone new come on our team who helps on this podcast, one of her first suggestions was you. And I was like, I follow her. Like I love her. And so we're just grateful you're here. And I can't wait to get into your whole story. But before we get into everything, I got to ask you the question we ask everybody. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh man, there's so many pieces of advice, but I think one that has always stuck with me is if you put your peace in people, they have the power to take it away.
Boom.
And
that's good.
I started at, whoa, that's good.
Yeah, I think that was a boom. I don't know if anybody that's ever gotten a boom that's good, but that was just really good.
Well, okay, wait for it though, because it was people. And now I'm realizing that it's really anything in the world. So not only people, but if you're putting your peace in things within the world, then it has the power to take it away because we live in that broken world. So we have to find it in that rooted foundation. And so that has been huge in my life and in my journey.
That is great. That is such a good, that's like, whoa, that is good. I truly love that so much. It's so true. You know, whenever I wrote the book Live, it really stuck out to me because to live was like to remain or to reside and all this stuff. And I was like, you know, what is it? I feel like so many times like we're trying to like live and thrive in spaces that change so often. And that's so true. Like with your peace, it's like you try to put it in something that can so easily be taken away. And what you realize is even the good things can be taken away. Like it literally can only be in God for it to remain and for it to be stable. And I think that's why it's like peace that surpasses understanding is because all the things that you would think would give peace when they're shaken, when they're not working, it's like, oh, okay, I only have God. And that's why it like surpasses understanding because you're like, how could you have peace? But it's because you're anchored in someone who's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so I love that. That is so good. Well, I can't wait to dive into the whole story. It was so funny, I have to say too, because our listeners will love this. You were like, so have you done your pull-up or you can do a pull-up? I'm like, okay.
Yes, you can.
But I'm so inspired by you because you didn't always like do this. This wasn't something that like was on your radar your whole life, but you were super into sports. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your background in sports.
So growing up, I'm from Missouri. And so I've grown up with my mom, my dad, my sister, my older sister. So I have like my built-in best friend, wanted to do whatever she wanted to do. And my family just has a sports background. So we did gymnastics, basketball, we played college golf together. And that's like what we've known unknown. And also just being outside, and we lived on land, so we would always clear the land. And I told my sister the other day, I was like, our iPad was us jumping on the four-wheeler.
It's the best.
She's dropping me off at the mailbox, going to school, driving by, and we just like played, and we just did sports, and we threw the football, and we didn't have a brother, so like we were taught like other sports too. So we just always grew up doing that, and I just loved it. And I don't know if it was because that's what my family did. And so like going on the journey, it's funny how I actually chose fitness, and that's like what God's led me to do. I actually got into CrossFit and like heavy fitness through a brain injury. So when I was in high school, I was playing a basketball game and I collided heads with this girl in the game, and I didn't know, like, I don't even know to this day what actually exactly happened, but doing sports is how I stayed fit. So I didn't know an actual fitness routine, and back in the day, we couldn't subscribe to a fitness program and have somebody tell us what to do or what to eat. And so I was taken out of all sports, and that's how I was fit.
You were like a gymnast.
We were a gymnast, like it was hardcore. Like we would go to gymnastics and basketball practice and constantly on the move, and that's how I stayed fit. But then whenever I had that brain injury, it just completely shook my world, and I wasn't able to work out or do any sports for over a year. That was when my sister left for college, so I just was so lost. I didn't know what to do, and finally, when I got released from that injury, I was like walking down the golf course, and in that time, I could see my body changing, and I couldn't do anything about it because I didn't know. Like, I wasn't educated on it, and I was just like, I don't like the trajectory of my life right now. I don't love the way that I look. I don't like how my body's changing, and I feel like I can't stop it because I am not educated on it. So that became...
Just a question, did you like golf, or was that because of the brain injury you chose golf because it was a little bit less?
Yeah. So my sister played college golf as well, and it's kind of approach with my family was like, we'll give you the tools that you need, and it's up to you to try to find your way with that. And for me to take care of college, I wanted to earn a scholarship some way, and I couldn't play basketball, and so golf was the avenue that I wanted to take to be able to earn that scholarship and also play with my sister. So it was like a love, but also not a
like
passionate.
The plan, but it was
something. But it taught me so much. It taught me all kinds of things of like staying disciplined in something that maybe you just don't love to do, knowing that there's something good on the other side of it. And so one day I was walking down the golf course, and I was like, I've got to make a change. And I have a perfectionist mindset. And so my fitness journey actually started with that change of I needed to make the change, and I have that perfectionist mindset. And so my body became like my project, which is a very unhealthy thing to start out with. But I will say, because that's how like God met me where I was at, it was an aesthetic pursuit. I wanted to change the way that I was looking. I wanted to pursue fitness, and so I messaged some of my friends. I was like, do you have a spreadsheet of how I can actually figure out how to work out? And I didn't love that. I didn't love going to the gym and not having a community around me. And so we had a family friend, and he kept asking me, come to the garage gym, like I'll teach you CrossFit. And the typical excuse where I was like, no, I'll just be fit before I can go to your gym and you teach me. I didn't want to be silly, but finally just wore me down where I was like, okay, this isn't working, and this is the door that's open. So I'm going to go step into that and learn and put down my pride. And I'm so glad that I did, because it changed my life.
Wow. That's incredible. That's such a crazy journey from like, gymnastics and basketball to brain injury to golf to
it's all over
all
the
the different things. But it's so cool. Like, one thing I want to ask you, because I love how you said, I don't even know exactly what you said, but it was so good about like not being disappointed with the like how life didn't really pan out the way that you thought it was going to, but you still like saw the good in it. Can you just speak a little bit to that? Because there's probably people listening who might have had like an injury or something happen, and they're not doing the thing that they thought they were going to be doing, and that can feel like a huge disappointment. But obviously, like hindsight 2020, you can see that shifted your life to be what it is now. But I know you didn't know that in the moment. Like, what were some of the things going through your head, and how did you overcome that disappointment?
Yeah, I would say that I know more of now why I was guided that direction. But I was really thankful that I had my family there to be like, you have to keep going. Like, this is what you committed to, and we don't quit. Like, the failure is in giving up and like not trying. And so I'm thankful I had them to guide me when I didn't quite understand that maybe that is not a no, it's just a redirection, because what I've learned is it's not about the outcome of what we're pursuing. It's about the journey of who we're becoming and how Christ is refining us to get to that point. And because when you get to that point, it's such a fleeting thing. Like we were talking about, if you put your peace in achieving that, you're going to get there and be like, now what? And so I really think it's about the journey of who you're becoming in the process and how, like, what God is teaching you, because He's with you the whole time.
It's so true.
Hey guys, what is up? It's Christian here, popping in for Sadie while she is on maternity leave. Man, there's just something about fall nights. You know, you've got your favorite hoodie, fire pit going, football on in the backyard, and I want something that is going to match the vibe. So I hit up fastgrowingtrees.com. There are actually tons of plants that do better being planted in the fall. I did not know that, but that's true. And if you have no clue where to start, like me, they've got you covered. You can even get on the phone with their plant experts to find the perfect plants for your climate and your space. I'm in Louisiana, so it's super hot, and I know exactly what's going to be the best here. Fast Growing Trees has all the plants your yard needs: fruit trees, privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, you name it. Just order online, and the plants are at your door in just a few days. They even have awesome plans for your dorm or for your apartment. If you're like me and gardening skills are just not part of your game, they will make you look like you know exactly what you're doing with their Alive and Thrive guarantee. And your plants show up happy and healthy. When our apple tree came in, it was happy, it was healthy, no twigs were damaged. It was perfectly intact in the box, and I was able to plant it super easy. Like I said, the instructions are very clear, and I feel very accomplished and very, I feel like I really know what I'm doing. And Sadie also is very proud of me. And this fall, they have the best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants and other deals. And listeners to our show get 15% off with their first purchase when using the code WHOA at checkout. That is 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WHOA at checkout. Now is the perfect time to plant. Use code WHOA to save today. This offer is valid for a limited time only, and terms and conditions may apply. So check out the link below or in the show notes and support this show.
And so many times, like, life does not play out the way you exactly thought. Like, Joyce Meyer says, that is really cool. She says, like, sometimes God shows you a puzzle, and it's like you see the picture, and, oh, yes, like, I'm going for that. But then He doesn't, like, give you just the completed puzzle. He gives you, like, the pieces.
Yes.
And you're putting it together. And there's some hard roads. Like, there's some times that are a little bit less exciting than the others.
Yes.
Like, sometimes you're cruising the puzzle, you're like, oh, it's so good. And then sometimes, like, you have the sky, and every piece is blue. And you're like, what do we gotta do with this?
Right.
But then it comes together and you're like, oh, okay, this is really beautiful. And I've experienced that just over the past, 10 years of life, pursuing something that was an avenue that I didn't necessarily think I was going to go down, because I didn't even think women's ministry, like, I didn't even have vision for that. But the things God put in me made sense. Like, I, love speaking to people. I love studying the Bible. I love doing all this stuff. I didn't know how that was going to look, though. And I feel like things have changed, things have shifted, and I've become used to it. Like, I feel like used to whenever things didn't go the way I thought, I'd be like, God, what are you doing? And now I'm just like, God, I can't wait to see what you're doing, because I know you're in it. I know it's going to make sense later, but right now it feels hard. And then when you look back, you're like, man, if that wouldn't have happened, then I wouldn't have come here, and then I wouldn't have met this person. And it's so cool to see how He was writing like such a better story. So interesting that you said like your body was your project and you had that perfectionism mindset. And I do think a lot of people who do struggle with body image typically have like a perfectionism mindset when it comes to it. Would you say that you were struggling with body image? And like, even now, I mean, you're someone who's like so fit and stuff. Like, what has that journey been with just body image as a whole? And how has your perspective shifted from like, my body's my project to maybe what it is now?
Yeah, I would say since it started as that pursuit, that's what I became obsessed with. That was what would affect my mood. That's what would affect my fruit in my life. And you could have looked at me on the outside and been like, oh, she's healthy, so everything else in her life is healthy, because the world is like, when you have this amount of body fat on you or you look a certain way, it reminds me of the fig tree, where it's like, that tree looks really good, but look at the fruit in your life. Like, my relationships were suffering because I wasn't eating enough. I was obsessed with the outcome. I couldn't go on family vacations without having anxiety of like, when am I going to work out? How am I going to eat clean when other people are not going to eat clean? And it just became a trap, like a distraction for what actually mattered. And along the way is when I found Christ, essentially, and started my relationship with him. God's been in my life, and I can look back the whole time. But my relationship actually, when I started pursuing him and what his heart looked like, is what changed my life. Wow. And so I started feeling convicted about that, where I'm like, now I'm kind of out of alignment here, and I'm learning what my purpose is. I'm learning how God actually sees me, and I'm measuring myself based off of a broken standard of the world. And so it started, my heart, as you get to know Christ, your heart starts to transform into what God's desires are. And so my heart started shifting, and I started feeling convicted, where I'm like, what am I measuring against? Who am I trying to please? Again, I'm putting my value and worth, and along the way, you get great validation from people who have great intentions. Like, it's not their fault that they're saying, wow, I can see that you're working really hard. And I started having that kind of as my measurement of, if my body looks this way, then I'm working hard and I'm disciplined, and maybe that's an inspiration or something. I was just finding worth in that versus other things. And something that really clicked for me was, one day our pastor was talking about, if you're so focused on yourself, you're going to make yourself sick. And so like, my eyes are pointed down here constantly. And that is just the trap of the enemy. The same thing in the world. He wants to get you so focused on something else that we can't like lift our chin up and look at what actually matters, and look at it from such a different perspective of like, this is what God sees. This is what he says about me. And also, you know, Psalm 139, how it's such a great verse, and talks about how he knows every single intricate detail because he's the one who formed us. But at the bottom of the verse, it also talks about pointing out in me what offends you. And if I'm God, which I'm obviously very thankful that I'm not, but if I created something that I thought was so beautiful and so amazing, to the point of, at the end of creation, like, he saw that man, and it was good. He saw that man was not good alone, and he created woman. And that was like the bow of creation. Like, this is very good. And if I did that and handed it to you and I was like, Sadie, what do you think about this? Like, I'm so proud of it. And you're like, it could be like a little smaller. It could be this way. It could be this way. I would be offended, you know? And so it started becoming more about taking this standard and like not offending the Lord with criticizing what he created. And so I wish I could sit across the room and be like, Sadie, this is the path to freedom. This is exactly what I've found freedom in. And I found freedom in some of the disordered patterns that I had. But it's something I have to fight every single day. Especially whenever your career is online and there's pictures within your sport and your and so it's something that I have to speak life over the lies every single day.
Wow.
It's long story.
No, not a long story. I could hear so much more. I'm like, keep going. It's so beautiful because it's so true. And most every woman has struggled with that. And I think it's really cool for you to acknowledge that when we're thinking about ourselves like so much, we're actually like missing what God is doing. And it's so interesting because I think you said it like the more, you know, you might have looked healthy on the outside, but you didn't have fruit. Like you were probably like more irritable and all the different things and like constantly thinking anxiety and all that stuff, which is, and I'm guessing that because I've struggled with that. And so like, you know, when you're not eating, you're not happy. Like when you're not, that's all you can think about is like the next meal or the next thing or what everybody else is going to be eating or thinking of all the different stuff. And it's like you're so consumed with you that you can't see others. And it's so interesting because I mean, for you, this is your career, but for most people, it's like, for what? Like for somebody to say you look good, and then at the end of the day, like what good is that to other people? And I think that, you know, whenever I think about even being an inspiration, because you said like I can think about things that might be inspiring, like my discipline or my this or my that. But it's like, do I want people to like look at me and just be like applauding me, or do I want people to look at me and maybe be inspired for something they can do in their life? And One of my favorite quotes from Mr. Rogers. Shout out to Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. But he says, fame is just a 4-letter word, like tape or Zoom or face or pain. It ultimately matters what you do with it. And I love that because it's so true. Fame is only what you do with it. And I think so many people try to gain fame to just gain a following. And at the end of the day, like that doesn't like scratch the itch. Like that doesn't do anything because like you weren't made to receive glory. So likes aren't going to do it. Comments aren't going to do it. What ultimately does it for you in a sense is the purpose of knowing I'm doing something that's impacting people.
Right.
I'm doing something hopefully that when people follow me, they're not just following me to look at me, but they're looking back at their own lives and saying like, man, how could I implement faith in my life? How could I implement like family in my life or joy or just being silly? Like they're taking something from me and like we're growing together. Like that would be what it would be about. And so for fitness, it's like, how can I make this not about me? Because at the end of the day, like someone complimenting me doesn't really bless them back. Like how can I inspire them back? And that's what I love about you saying like, you know, because I know the end of the story. I know kind of where you're at now. Like you're taking what you've learned and you're giving it back to people and teaching them how to do it in a healthy way, which we'll get to all that later. So the games, you get into CrossFit, so intimidating because like CrossFit, again, like I see y'all and I'm like, who are these people? What is this world? So you got started kind of unexpectedly. A friend invited you to the gym. Like how did it go from 0 to 100?
Quick. But it's funny that you say that about how you're like, what are these people doing? And when I stepped onto that CrossFit Games floor too, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, wait, here? This is what you want me to do? Like, this is scary, but it's crazy how you say that because I see what you get to do and the way that you impact and inspire so many people. And I'm like, that's terrifying. I would be like, that's just cool how it's different
so cool
realms and yeah, like that might be something, but you didn't just step onto that stage and like be who you are right now, you know, like he pruned and like refined and I would love to hear your story too in that. But so back to your question.
That's cool.
With the home gym, so him and his wife taught me like the fundamentals of what CrossFit movements are. It's like you have to learn what a power clean is. You have to learn what a double under is. Just all these different terminologies that you don't know. And luckily with the athletic background and as a gymnast, I could kind of understand like the body awareness of what they wanted me to do. And
there's moves in CrossFit that aren't in normal working out. Because Christian, this is what's funny about Christian going there. Like, here, Christian is the most fit person any of us know, you know, and he's like so disciplined. And so for him to go there and be like, you know, not the least, but like just it's different. Like he didn't know so many of y'all's movements. Like, do y'all climb something?
Like climb the ropes or muscle ups.
The muscle ups and all weird looking pull ups and like it was like all kinds of stuff. Like there's so much to learn to your point.
Yeah.
Life on campus can be a lot, right, friends? Late nights, group chats, popping off, endless scrolling. It's so easy to get distracted or pulled in a direction that you didn't even mean to go. But college is also the perfect time to set strong habits and protect what matters most, your faith, your goals, and your future. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Covenant Eyes. Their Victory app helps you stay accountable and keeps your eyes and heart focused on what matters the most. It monitors your screen activity and sends reports to someone that you trust so you've got backup whenever you need it the most. So whether you're breaking old habits or just trying to stay intentional in this crazy, amazing season, Covenant Eyes has your back. And it's not about shame. It's about freedom, healing, and building a life that you won't regret. This is your time to shine, so take control of your screen time. I think this is so amazing because I know so many people out there are struggling so much with the internet, whether that's watching pornography, looking at inappropriate things, and just, you know, you can go down that rabbit trail so easily with the way that social media is set up. And so I think accountability is key when it comes to staying healthy in this. I cannot recommend Covenant Eyes enough. Go to covenanteyes.com/Sadie to learn more and start your journey towards freedom today. That's covenanteyes.com/Sadie.
I think that's really cool that Christian put himself in that environment. But then one day, if you're in CrossFit, you know that there's partner workouts like on the weekends or Saturdays. So one day he invited me to do a partner workout with him at the actual CrossFit affiliate gym. So you have the home gyms and then you have CrossFit affiliates, different gyms that have the community base around them. And so I walked into that gym. I think in the warm up it was handstand walks, and I was like,
Whoa.
Okay, we can do that. Just because we were gymnasts. Yeah, I was like,
See,
we already had that.
I would have seen that and been like,
Like,
nope, and this is where I'm in over my head.
So luckily we had that, and I was like, okay, we can do this. And I had so much fun doing a partner workout with the community, because you walk in there and it's people from all walks of life, whether they're in the Legends class and like 80 years old, or they're a child, like all in between, and they're just there to better themselves. So
Cool.
there was like no judgment whenever you walked in, and I loved that. I loved the community support. And while I was in that gym, I went there, did the classes, childcare, and I looked over in that gym and there was competitors. And so having the competitive nature, I'm like, I wonder where we could take this, and I had a burning desire in my heart, and that's how I knew, like, that's something that I want to pursue.
Yep.
Is let's just see how far we can take it. And I had no like expectation. I just wanted to see, because there is so many things to learn.
Yeah.
And so I started working out with some of the competitors, and they had gone to the CrossFit Games on a team a couple of years. So that was my goal, was to go on the CrossFit Games, qualify for that team, and go. And I was going to be so excited about that.
Wow.
And then it just keeps elevating. And so that's kind of how we got started with actually competing.
It's cool. And the first time you did teams, like, didn't you have to try out and stuff?
Yes, I did. I had to. It was like a weekend tryout. And at the end of the weekend, they were like, I don't know. We had a lot of girls, and they didn't know who to choose. And I was so thankful that they took a chance on me. And now I know like what the purpose was.
So
but
cool.
I mean, that was out of my control, and
Yeah.
I just got the chance. And I think that's something too, is it was so scary.
Yeah.
And CrossFit Games is scary, and stepping on this stage is scary. But if we say no, then we don't allow God's power to work through us.
So true.
So I'm like, okay.
So true. I've been reading about that lately, because so this is going to be a side sermon, but hang with me because it's really cool in my opinion. So I've been reading Acts, and it's like so cool, because I think it's Acts chapter 4, and there's like the lame man, and Peter and John walk past, and he's like asking them to give him money, and they're like, money we don't have, but I'll give you what we do have, like in the name of Jesus, stand up and walk. So bold that they just like
Literally.
knew that God was going to heal him. He did. So that was great. But then they continue on, and like in the face of people trying to arrest him, they're like still preaching the gospel. They're still talking about Jesus. They like won't deny what God did. And then it's so cool, because you get to the part where the Pharisees and all the different people are trying to figure out what to do with them, because they're disrupting everything, because they just healed a man, and now they're talking about the crucifixion, they're talking about Jesus, resurrection, and they're like, what do we do with them? And it's cool because they're not only amazed that the guy was healed. That was almost like not even the thing that got them. The thing what really got them was that it says the boldness of Peter and John, like the boldness of them. That's what like they couldn't get past. And they're like, okay, clearly like these people are bold. Like even after they healed, even in the face of prison, like they're not backing down. And obviously like Peter was filled with the Holy Spirit to heal the person, but the Holy Spirit had to do the healing. And then Peter was filled with the Holy Spirit to be bold enough to continue on. And I think like sometimes we think about miracles being like the healing part, like the guy got healed, but I think like miracles are also in just the boldness, because when people see a human who they know, because they can relate to, because we're all human, they go, you got to be scared out of your mind, but you did it. Like there's a miracle in that. There's like, how did you do it? And then whenever you're able to say, because like the Lord is with me, because I trusted God with my story, I just put myself out there. I think like that's what shocks people. It's like, yes, cool stories happen, miracles happen, and that's amazing. But because you know, like I can't perform a miracle, seems undoable. But because you know I can be bold, it's scary, but I can. There's something in you that goes, okay, I got to know how she did that. And I just think that's really cool, because you stepped out there and you couldn't like fate was in their hands. They had to choose, you know, obviously it's in the Lord's hands, but they had to choose. But even in your boldness, even in like your willingness to step out, then God was able to do something with it and move. And look at where it led you to. One thing that I heard you say on an interview I listened to, I thought it was really cool, which you laughed at. I watched the interview. It was so good. But you were talking about how you love to suffer for your team, like suffering for other people was something really beautiful to you. Talk about that. Just unpack that, because I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, it gives you more of a purpose behind what you're doing. And when I started on that pursuit of trying to train and be competitive, you have to figure out what your why is. And whenever I found Jesus and built that relationship and continuing to build that every single day, he gives you purpose behind that pain. And it becomes something so much bigger. And whenever you can be, that's why I love team. Also, as an individual, you have a team around you that you're working really hard for. And it's whenever you can look to the left and right and not compare, but look left and right and see other people, you can work so hard for them. It goes way deeper than anything that you want yourself. And like, you don't want to let them down. And I just think it's so beautiful because then you also bond over that, where it's like you are going through the suffering. And I think it's really cool how there's a parallel between training and also life, where you're not only suffering with people training, but you also learn how to do that in life too. And that's what brings you closer. We were built for that community. And there's just something inside of us that wants that.
Yeah.
And I just think it's amazing to be able to look left and right and be like, I'm working hard, not for me, but for you and for him.
It's cool. I love that. I just think there's so much parallels between training and life. And like, I think it's amazing. Even how you said, obviously, like I didn't just start on the stage. Like, of course not. Like there's training involved. But for you, like you really get to see that training, like the hard work, the sweat, the tears, the blood, everything, like the pain. And then, but you see what it produces and like what a testament to life, because that, man, life is hard. Like the day-to-day is hard, but the reward is so beautiful. It's like people say in parenting, like the days are long, but the years are short. And it's like so true. Like day in, day out, you can get really tired, but then you look at the year and you're like, oh my gosh, like every birthday, you're like, no, like they're just getting old. And then you're like, this was the sweetest year. And so, yeah, you get to see what all those little moments produce. And it's like such a beautiful picture. So you got married and he competes too, right? So what has that been like?
That has been amazing because you get to be with someone who understands what you're doing, because it takes a lot of sacrifice, and we were sacrificing together and we got to walk that journey together. But it's also hard too, because you have your pursuits, and him and I were actually on the same team, which was really cool. But you have to, whenever maybe you're with Christian and you're vulnerable and maybe like snap or something, but you have to have that mutual respect of like, we're both here. We're both in a lot of pain, but it's really cool because you constantly get to share the wins and the highs and lows with them, cool. And you can understand what each other's going through.
That's cool. How'd y'all meet?
The gym.
At the gym?
Yeah, we were at the, I walked in, I was doing the class workouts. He was with the competitors because he's got athletic background, and he just like jumped into competing. And I was getting a drink at the water fountain. He told me he liked my shoes. And it was
and the rest is history.
Yeah, my pink shoes. So.
Oh my gosh. Hey, never underestimate a good pair of pink shoes.
Never underestimate the pink shoes at the water fountain.
That is awesome. That's so good. Yeah. So you talked about your relationship with the Lord a lot, and it's really cool how your relationship with the Lord started. Take us back, and specifically, I want to hear about the scholarship situation. Okay. And how that impacted you.
Okay, so I think about that as my start of my relationship with Jesus, but then I have thought about this a lot. He was actually over my life the whole time. Of course, and I experienced his power when I was in the 6th grade.
Wow.
I didn't know what happened until I actually looked back and was like, oh, so when I was in 6th grade, I stopped being able to go to school. I felt so convicted as a child. And whenever you're in the 6th grade, some kids start to be rebellious and take on different personalities. And I realized now that the enemy was after me in the 6th grade as a child.
Wow. And
that's when I experienced anxiety the most. Like I would go to school, call my parents, please come and get me. I can't do it. And one day it just got so bad that I was like, Mom, I can't do it anymore. It's too loud. The voices are too loud. I don't know what to do. And she was just like, do you want to ask Jesus into your heart? I was like, yeah, anything, like, please. Wow. So we knelt down by the chair. She prayed the prayer of salvation, and I repeated after her, and it went away.
Wow.
But as a kid, you're like, okay, sweet. I get to go back to school, and thank you, Jesus. I know that you're real. I'm so thankful. And you just kind of went about my life. And like, I knew of Jesus. I knew I believed in him. My parents did a great job walking that out, but it was always up to me to build that relationship and actually know him, not just be a fan of him, but be a follower of him.
Hey guys, it is Christian here, jumping in for Sadie while she is at home with our new baby. And I never knew how valuable rest was until we had a newborn and toddler. So Honey now is 4, Haven's 2, and Kit is just a couple months old. And Yes, it hits differently when you have newborns at home. We have been an AG1 family now for years, so when I heard about AGZ, I was 100% in. AGZ is AG1's nighttime drink that helps you wind down and get better, more restful sleep. It is a melatonin-free formula with calming herbs, minerals, and other research-backed ingredients to help you relax and to de-stress before bed. And the best part is, it's simple. It's just one packet, a little water or milk or coconut milk, whatever you like, and you've got a smooth, delicious drink. You can warm it up or you can drink it cold, whatever you want. And with flavors like chocolate mint, mixed berry, it feels like a dessert, but there's no added sugar and there's no artificial sweeteners. So whichever flavor you choose, you will notice a difference in your nights and also your days. I can honestly tell when I've had AGZ versus when I haven't. It helps me fall asleep, and in the morning, I feel refreshed when I wake up. And with AGZ, it's a lot easier to take on the morning chaos when you don't feel groggy. For me, the chocolate is just the go-to. It tastes delicious, it's smooth, it helps me go to sleep, and especially with kids, it is a game changer. And since they sponsor Whoa, That's Good, I got to try AGZ as soon as it was available, and it's already such a part of my routine. So if you're ready to turn down the stress and focus on the rest, head to drinkag1.com/whoa to get a free frother with your first purchase of AGZ. That's drinkag1.com/whoa.
One day I'm walking down the golf course and I get this phone call. And they're like, hey, Baylee, congratulations. You've been accepted for this scholarship in honor of this guy and his wife who tragically died in a plane crash, which I was like, that's a great honor. Like, thank you so much. Yeah. But you might have the wrong number because I didn't apply for that scholarship. Whoa. And they're like, no, you've been selected for that leadership on and off the golf course. I was like, okay, great. Like, what do I do? So they said, come down, meet the guy, shake his hand, hear his story. And I said, great, I would love to do that. So I went down there to the office, met him, got to hear about the amazing story and tragic story behind the scholarship, and felt that responsibility of like, what an honor that they chose me. Yeah. And he handed me a bag with a book and a Bible. It's like, interesting gift at the scholarship meeting. And, normal, took the bag home, put the book by my bed, and just sat there for a couple of months. And to this day, and anybody who is in the administration office, I don't even know if the scholarship got applied to my account, because I think that was God's way of just putting that book in my hands.
Wow.
And I'm so thankful to this day. I'm like, thank you so much. Like, that was so cool. And one day I couldn't sleep at night. So I just picked up the book. I'm like, what is this? No harm can be done if I'm seeing what this book is about. It was Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren.
Oh my gosh.
And I opened that book and it totally changed my life.
Wow.
It actually gave me purpose behind what I was doing, like showed me how I was supposed to utilize the gifts I've been given to bring glory to God.
Wow.
And it just gave me purpose.
That is so cool. So like, obviously there's so much purpose in what you're doing, and you can see it all over there. You clearly like know your why. And I know within that, there's been like some things that you've sacrificed even to make sure that those things remain the same. Like working out on Sundays and different things. Like, talk to me a little bit about what implementing your faith in your daily journey as a CrossFit, like all that, just unpack that a little bit.
So I think there's balance to it, but I think the balance is subjective because it's like defining success, where everybody has a different version of it. You might look at my life during that and you're like, this girl's training 6 hours a day. She's eating 4,000 calories. That's not balance. But for the pursuit that we were on, that's like what has to be done. And so the balance to me is making sure you're not burning out on that calling and that pursuit, where is if I'm training 6 hours a day, I have to eat that amount of calories. I have to have a recovery protocol. I have to have rest days and be outside, be around my family and friends. But then there's also alignment. And I think that if we're in alignment, it also translates to if we're balanced or not. And so for me, my alignment and to ensure that what I was doing was honoring the Lord and that was his calling for me was, first off, being in constant communication back and forth, because the pursuit started before my relationship actually started with Jesus. So I'm on this pursuit and I'm like, okay, Lord, is this what you actually want me to do? I want to make sure this isn't selfish and this isn't just my own desire, because if it is, it's not going to end. Yeah. I want you to be all over it. And my purpose is to glorify you and what you want me to do. And doors kept opening and it just was confirmed that was what I was supposed to do. And then, so from there, I would try to, if my purpose is to honor the Lord, love God, love people, reflect Him in all that we do, that's the overarching why behind everything. And then how we can walk that out as different to us. Like you go on the stage and you do this incredible ministry, and everybody is shaped with different gifts. And then when we use that to serve people, we're serving God. And so that's the overarching why. But if the pursuit becomes more of an idol in our life, which starts affecting our fruits, and that becomes more important than my relationship and my why, then I'm out of alignment, I'm out of balance. So the first one is remembering that always, like what you're actually doing that for. Second one would be to surround myself with so many people that are on that same mission, that maybe if I say I can't train on a Sunday morning because I'm going to church, you don't feel weird about doing that because they're at church with you. And we all have the same mission, and that's the overarching goal, which is what I loved about Mayhem, like faith, family, fitness, service. That was the main priority. And then you have people surrounding you because you're going to get lost in it. You're going to get lost in that pursuit sometimes, and you have to have people to pull you out and be like, hey, I think you might be focusing too much on this, and like remember what your why is. So surrounding yourself with people in that community that keeps your eyes on what's actually important and doesn't let you get lost.
And it's so true that everybody does have a different balance. Like even right before this, I was putting my element packet in my cup. And you're like, how many do you drink a day? I'm like, one. How many do you drink? You're like, well, with my fitness routine, like I have to drink one before and one after. I was like, if I drink 2 elements in a day, I would be so loaded up with salt. Like my fingers would be so swollen. But like that speaks to everyone's balance is different, even in the little things. I mean, me and my husband, we did this life planning thing one time, and we went through a series of questions trying to get to know like who we are. And one of the questions he asked us, he was like, okay, let's like pretend that you have like goldfish in a jar. And he's like, every goldfish you put in the jar is like a new idea or a thought. And he's like, how many goldfish could you have, 1 out of 10, at the same time for you to not feel overwhelmed? You know, like how many ideas and things can you have going on at one time and you feel like at peace with that? And I had like 9 in my jar, and Christian had like 2, you know, and but it was so good for us because that actually has helped us so much in our marriage, because it helps me understand how he's thinking whenever I'm throwing out another idea when we already have like 4 or 5 things going on. And then it helps, you know, him understand where I'm coming from, where like it just helps you so much understand and respect each other's balances too. And I think so many times like you look to the left or the right and you go, oh, well, they're doing that. I need to do that. It's like, no, you don't need to do that, because if you did that, you would be slap exhausted. If I drank 2 elements a day, I would be swollen. Like, you got to be smart. Like, you got to do what's good for you. And so that's such good advice. There was a moment, and it's kind of a specific moment, so I hate to put you on the spot, but it was like a moment during a competition where you weren't getting like the lift that you thought you were going to get, which that was like a really cool story because like you even had perspective in the moment. Like a lot of times we have perspective hindsight to say, oh, it's fine, I'm not defined by that, but you felt it in the moment. Can you share that story?
Yeah. So obviously if I'm standing in the corral with all these other athletes, I'm probably not the one that you're going to pick out that's going to win a max lift or something that's super heavy. That's one of my weaknesses in the sport. And so one of my biggest fears at the CrossFit Games or any competition is just to be standing there and not be able to like pick it up because it's too heavy. I mean, that thought kept me up at night so many times. Like, that's going to be so embarrassing. Like, what am I going to do if that happens? And so, you know, the Lord puts us in uncomfortable situations, and one of an event like that was released. It's called a clean ladder. So you have to go to one bar, pick it up, then next weight, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up until you go and you finish. And so not only was one of them released, but we had another one too. So it was 2 events.
Shoot.
Kind of rude.
Yeah,
you know?
that's rude.
Like, that's rude.
That's on them.
Yeah. And so I remember like, you know what? I'm going to go out there and do the absolute best that I can, and it's going to be what it's going to be. So I think that's a huge testament to there is going to be storms in life, and we have to step into them afraid, knowing that, again, our peace is not found in that storm. And so walking out on that competition floor, I'm going, I'm like, this is going pretty good. We're doing great. And then I get to one bar and it just stops me in my tracks. And at that moment, you're facing your fear. Like that bar and that moment of just being around thousands of fans that are screaming, and they want you to be able to pick up the bar, and you want to be able to be like, yes, this is great. But I couldn't get it. And I kept trying and trying and trying. And in that moment, I realized that that was my Goliath. And the Lord was having me face that, knowing that I wasn't defined by that barbell.
Yeah.
And that was a teaching moment for me. And one of the most surreal times that I've gotten to feel the Lord's presence because I felt like everything went silent. He was like, Baylee, you are not defined by that barbell. Your identity is not in if you can pick that barbell up. It's found right here in me. And no matter what, that cannot be shaken. And it was like that day I defeated that Goliath with the Lord.
That's
with that little
so
rock.
Cool. That is so cool. And it's so true to what you said earlier. Like, success is not always picking up the barbell, it's finishing. Right. It's like continuing on and not letting that define you.
Yeah.
I can think of a story. It's so funny because for so long I had so much anxiety around the track because I like
the running track.
Yes, because I did track and field, heavy on the field. I really did field. I did not do track. And I really had told the coach before I even went out for it. I was like, hey, I really don't want to run, but I love the field events. He's like, yeah, like you can just do the field. Great. Yeah. Well, our school's small. We don't have a ton of people, and we had this opportunity to go to state. But first, you have to get past your district, your regionals, all that stuff, and track, like every point matters. So you have to give it all to your team. And he was like, okay, so the problem is like we need extra points, and I'm looking at this, and we need someone to run the 2 mile. And when he said it, not one thought, like not 1 ounce of me thought he was going to pick me for this.
Be me,
I was just looking around like, oh yeah, who's going to do it? Like one of the distance people, one of the people that runs track. And he's like, so I've been thinking about this. And he's like, Sadie, you're going to do it. And everyone started laughing because clearly we thought that was a joke. Yeah. And he was like, no, you're going to do it. Yeah. And I was like, I haven't even ran the warm-up lap. Like I am a thrower. I threw javelin, I did shot put, I did triple jump. Like I was not the 2 mile girl. So I was like, what? I was terrified. I can just remember the anxiety I had to do that. And I was also just embarrassed because it was like 3 girls who did cross country. Well, no, that was the thing. It was 2 girls who did cross country, one other girl who ran distance, and then me. But that's why he put me there because there was only 4 girls running it. So no matter what, if I finished, we would get the point for our team. Yeah. So he's like, all you have to do is finish. Which was a struggle because it was very hard. So, I'm running around the track and everything's going relatively fine. And then the worst thing in my mind happens. I get overlapped by everybody, which is like the worst thing ever. But the thing that sunk in that moment when I got overlapped was I am going to have to run the last lap by myself. And everybody at this regionals will be seeing me, not to mention Duck Dynasty was already out there. So people like knew who I was. Yeah. So I was like, this is just great. Yeah. And I was so embarrassed. But I remember it's actually one of my favorite stories of my life because when I went to run that last lap, I was so embarrassed. And my brother, John Luke, comes running from the stands. And he ran it with me in the middle because he couldn't get on the track, but he was in the grass. And he played It's the Heart of a Champion. And
we all needed John Luke.
It's like the greatest story ever. And then he made it just fun. So by the time I was on my last 100, I started telling all the crowd to stand up on their feet. Everyone's clapping. It was hilarious. It actually made for the best memory. Yeah. And I think about that all the time because again, what is success? It was not, I never thought I was going to win that race. It wasn't winning. It was finishing. It really was finishing. And you do have to define what success is going to look like to you because again, some people would say success would be this many followers, but then you get that and what is that? Or success would be my body looking like this and then you get that and what is that? It has to be bigger. You have to have a why behind it. And that was such a good reminder that it wasn't just the task at hand. It was the journey. It was that last lap and the joy that I found in that and the overcoming and my brother being there and the crowd being as funny as they were and finishing. And it's funny because I've had people say to me since hey, I was there. Actually, this is really funny. My nurse in the hospital having Haven was one of the girls that overlapped me. Yes. And I was like, you know what? That is just hilarious. Some of those things, those moments that you're so embarrassed by, they just stick with you in life and you got to find a way to overcome them. And I think it's so cool that even in that moment, you had the perspective to say, this is not my identity. The Lord was speaking to you. You could move on and it didn't shake you the way that it would have shaken other people. There was a moment in your story that I think is really cool. And you said it was one of the first moments you saw the power of the Lord move in your life. And it was when you went from 8th to 1st.
Oh, yeah.
What was that? How did that even happen? And tell me that story.
The Lord. Yeah. But I also wanted to go back into what you were saying. You probably didn't know that was going to happen. Like, you didn't envision, like, if you were just to finish that lap and you would have been great, like, this is really cool. But how many people were so inspired by your simple act of obedience? And then you had an experience, like the crowd's coming up and you just don't know what God has in store for you. You just got to keep walking, even if you think.
Oh, it's so true. You don't know. You have to like see it through. Because if I would have like gotten embarrassed and walked off, like, then that would have been the worst story ever. I would have probably never talked about it. The girl would have never told me at the hospital that she was there. Like, it would have been just awkward. But it's the finishing. And like, again, that when people see another human being human and seeing them overcome something, it's inspiring. I remember my coach told me, you know, years later, he's like, you know why I chose you for that? I was like, no, I really, it's beyond me why he chose me for that. He said, because I knew you would finish. He was like, I knew you'd finish. He's like, I had seen your character all year and I wasn't worried about that. And it was just funny because I'm like, I didn't even know I could finish, you know? And it's cool when someone else sees something in you that you don't see in yourself. And man, I could talk about that forever because whenever I was speaking for 10 minutes at Winter Jam while they were moving the stage behind me, it's when Louis Giglio saw me for the first time and was like, hey, God's going to use your voice to speak to this generation. And I'm like, I don't know about that. And he's like, yeah, for real. And he's like, come speak at Passion, not conference, the church. And I was like, I've never spoken at a church before. I've never prepared a sermon. I've never done anything like that. I don't know if Passion is the place to start. But they believed in me. And it wasn't even they believed in me. They believed in God, like God in me. They believed in the faith that I had and believed that I would do it and that God would move through me. And he did. And I feel like your story is so similar. Like, people saw something in you. Like, the team chose you. You know, you kept getting opportunities to go out there and God did something in you that was bigger than yourself.
That I relate to that so much. Because that was what kept me going too. I'm like, are we sure about this? You know, and they're like, yeah, we believe that. We believe in you. And so I relate to that so much. And same thing, going back to the question of from 8th place to 1st place, I wasn't even supposed to be there. It was during the qualification process. I took a bad placement in a front squat. It's like a max lift. Again, we're going back to max lifts. He keeps putting these in my path. I'm like, come on. So I take a bad placement. I'm out of qualification for a semifinal. Semifinal, you compete there, and that's who makes it to the CrossFit Games. It's my first year. Like, okay, you know, this hurts. You know, I didn't make the semifinal. I thought I had trained enough to where I could, and it was just kind of one random score that put me back. But I also look at the journey too of if our overarching purpose is to glorify God, we can do that whether you're on the stage or whether you're in the valley. And so I was praising, like, I know you have a plan with this. I don't know what it is, but this is, you have a plan. And I didn't get put in that semifinal, and we were just going to keep working. And I got an email a couple of weeks later, and it said, you received a backfill invitation, meaning that someone declined their spot. Maybe they went team or they weren't ready for it. And the invitation went to me because it goes back. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll take it. I'm definitely not equipped, but we will go and we'll do our best. And it ended up being at the same semifinal. They seeded us in different ones, but the same one that Tyler was going to, and it was online because of COVID. And so he was going to Mayhem with another guy. They both got put in that. And so I was like, I'll just go. I'll do it. It's going to be set up, but I'll do it and stay out of the way just so I can get the scores in and get some experience. So that's what we did. And by the end of the weekend, two scores are released at a time. And so we were waiting for 5 and 6 for the leaderboard to be refreshed. And I'm telling my parents, I'm like expecting Tyler to make it and us be happy. And I'm just telling my family, probably 8th is great. Like, I'm really happy with that. So the leaderboard comes out and we're refreshing it. And my dad's like, hey, Baylee, I think that might be like a glitch or something, but it says you're in 1st place. I was like, no way. And I went to the bathroom just to be by myself for a second and be like, whoa, like, how did you take, I was not supposed to even be here. And we just took 1st place in this semifinal.
Whoa.
That was God. Like, that was not me. I just kept walking, kept trying my best. And I was like, this is the first time I'm like, look what you can do. That's so beyond me.
That
was the
so
first time.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool because, like, you know, whenever people say, like, oh, like, people are complimenting you and you're like, no, it's God. And they're like, okay, but for real. No, but then there's sometimes like, no, but for real.
Yeah.
Like, for real.
Yeah.
It was the Lord.
For real, this is the Lord. I cannot do that.
I can't do that in my human strength. Like, that is the coolest thing ever. I love that story. So now, you know, we've talked about how you have a lot of purpose and your why behind it. You've started something called To Be. Tell me a little bit about that and how the girls listening can get involved.
Yeah. So with the competition, that's what set my heart on fire, was competing. And I've got to see God work in that, not even just that year, but years after that. Just impossible stories where you're just like, that is all God. And I came to the past year and something else was setting my heart on fire. And that was using the experiences and what God's taught me along the way to be able to give back to other people and create a community around that can equip others to step into their calling and feel confident knowing, like, maybe we didn't believe it in ourselves, but there's somebody else out there that does. Mm-hmm. So we went out and we visited different gyms, and I just wanted to hear people's stories and be able to share mine if they ask. And in that, my heart was on fire to create. I look at it as like 3 different pillars. So we have our purpose and our calling. We have the cup that we can pour from, and then we have the well. And I look at Called to Be as like a well. If you need fitness and movement in your life, so you can take that, put that into your cup, and then go and step into your calling, that's what I want you to utilize Called to Be for. So we've got fitness programs. We've got help with, you need help knowing how to fuel your body properly with nutrition, recipes, wellness challenges. I love merchandise and having that expression.
So
you never
cute, by the way.
know things, but you never know, even on your Whoa, That's Good merch too, you don't know what that can do for someone. It's not just a reminder for you, but if you walk into a coffee shop and you have the good news on your shirt.
It's so cool.
I love that. So it's like, come and take what you need.
Yeah.
So you can fill your cup and you can go and step into your calling and serve others the best of your ability with the gifts that you've been given.
It's so true. It's so good. Seriously, I mean, pink shoes are what led you and your husband.
I'm saying, you never know.
Never underestimate what people can notice.
That's right.
In the clothing that you're wearing.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Or like even tattoos. Like Christian has a 4-8 on the back of his arm.
Yeah.
And people always like, what's 4-8?
What does that
like
mean?
in the airport, everywhere we go. And he's like, oh, it's from a verse, 1 Timothy 4:8. And he's always able to say like bodily training is of some value, but godliness is a value in every single way.
Right.
And you know, for someone to look like Christian, you can tell he's physically fit, but for him to be able to like declare that it's actually like spiritual training, that's the most important thing to him. It's so cool. He shares testimony all the time based off a simple question,
right? Because
of a 4-8
I love that
on his arm. Like it's so cool. It's the same with shirts, and I love the shirts that you gave me too. I can't wait to rep them. And after I have this baby, when I get cleared to work out, I need you to train me.
Yes,
I'm gonna be getting that Called to Be app, but I might need your number too.
Yes, we will do the pull up with Sadie progression. Anybody who wants to pull up, do Sadie's program.
Honestly, a lot of people might join that. So, girls, if y'all are interested, that's what I need. Actually, I need accountability. That's why, like, anytime I've worked out with a trainer, I'm like all in. But if I'm by myself, I struggle. So, girls,
we got it.
Do this with me. We're going to do a pull-up together, and Baylee is going to help us do it.
I got you. I've got you.
I will also note that this podcast will be releasing in the midst of my postpartum, so it won't be today. But when I overcome this scenario, we're doing it.
Yeah, we're doing it together. That's what I love about it. Is you don't have to be alone, you know?
Awesome.
You can pursue those goals and step into your calling together.
That's awesome.
And we're going to get your pull-up.
I actually believe in it. I believe we can do this.
We can do it, and we're going to do it together. Anybody who wants to join us.
I'm so excited.
Journey to a pull-up.